Hi, this is Kuberg from the 430 forums, and I wanted to introduce a project I've been working on, the 430 badge. It's an easy to solder badge. It showcases some of the capabilities of the MSP430 Value Line series from Texas Instruments. It features the same chip that you can find on the MSP430 Value Line development kit from Texas Instruments. And let's just go over what's in the kit and some information on how to put it together. This is the package you'll get, and a couple of things that include would be the circuit board, battery, the ambient light sensors, and then you also have a few small miscellaneous components. This is a resistor network, or array, capacitor, reset switch, and some other LEDs and capacitors, the battery holder, and then you also have the chip. It'll be pre-programmed. It'll come with a demo application that I'll show later, and a socket to put that into. So a couple things to look for. I've tried to do a good job of showing instructions on how to assemble the device. Probably the only really critical piece that you'll need to watch for, but when you're putting together everything, pretty much everything can be assembled in whatever order you'd like, except for this pull-up resistor. This 47K resistor needs to go right here. Only one of them, can't miss it. If you solder in the chip socket first, it makes it a little bit difficult to get to the soldering positions for the resistor. They're in there underneath the socket, so it's possible, actually I've done it, to solder the two leads right there, but it's a heck of a lot easier if you solder this first. And you're going to need a soldering iron and some flush cutters as well. A couple pieces. Obviously the chip socket goes here, and then once you've got all your other components, you'll be able to take the value line chip and plug it in. And what you're going to be watching for when you actually do that final step is this little notch here up at the top is going to have to be facing the top of the board. So that orientation. Pretty simple. It follows the notch in the chip socket, which also follows the notch that's on the circuit board. You'll see right there for the 2553. So a couple of the pieces to watch out for. You'll notice on the wings there's your capacitor right there. Hopefully if I can get the camera to focus on it. And C1 and C2. You'll notice that just below the capacitor it'll say 104 and 102. And these actually correspond to the markings on the actual capacitors themselves. So if you look at these awfully close, yep, not going to focus. Anyway, they do have markings of 102 and 104 on them, so that'll tell you which side they need to go into. So the 104 would go on the left, 102 would go on the right. Below that you'll see ALS1 and ALS2, and that actually corresponds to these, which are nicely marked in a bag with ALS. These are ambient light sensors, and they actually allow the processor to read the level of ambient light. Could be used for a couple different things, a demo or something like that if you wanted to read the sensor and display it on the LEDs or something like that. In the demo app it actually does something much cooler, so we'll go over that later. Resistor network goes right here, nice and simple. Your LEDs, they go in this series right here, so you've got 5 LEDs in a line, and just above you'll notice that it says short leg and long leg. So when you look at your LEDs, you notice one leg's longer than the other. You want to make sure your short leg goes there and your long leg goes on the bottom, corresponding with the instructions, and just put that in and solder it and you're good to go. Ambient light sensors as well, same thing, they have a long leg and a short leg, and up on the back of the board you'll see right here, top is short leg, long leg is on the bottom, so just follow the instructions when you put it together just to make sure that those sensors read correctly. Your large electrolytic capacitor goes there. You'll notice that there's a stripe on these that indicate the negative lead, and the side without the stripe is the positive, so you'll mark that up with a positive on the board when you're soldering it in. And there is a small prototyping area, so if you want to add a little mini speaker or a transistor or something else to the project, all of the pins from the MSP430 are broken out here, and you could easily connect those to the little prototyping area for some sort of extra feature. There's also a capacitive touch sensor that's on the side of the board, and that's where pretty much all the functionality is driven, so we'll go into that later. So like I said, oh, and I'm sorry, the reset switch goes right there. If you get all the parts put together, it'll look like this completed board. So resistors, LEDs, your 2 capacitors, your 2 light sensors, your reset switch, and your chip. Noticing the notch on top, matching orientation. On the back, you've got your capacitor and the one other piece that I forgot to mention, the battery holder. And just make sure that that follows the outline. Just make sure you match it. If you flip it in the other way, you wouldn't be able to put the battery in. And this just uses standard CR2032. You can find them on Amazon for dirt cheap. You can certainly find them in your Red Target or something like that as well. And let's go ahead and put in the battery. And I can show you guys the demo application. So I'll just crack open the one that I've got here since I can't find the other one I had sitting around. And like I mentioned, out of the box, the chip does come pre-programmed, so it's got built-in features. This is actually, the base functionality is a persistence of vision. So if you actually, you should get a lanyard when you get this, and if you actually swing the lanyard around in the air, and there's actually a marker on the back that indicates what the spin direction is. You can actually, it has built-in messages. And it actually, when you swing it across, it writes text. It doesn't show up very well on the camera, but it looks pretty good in person, especially in a dark room. So the base functionality, it has 3 messages pre-programmed into it. If you touch the L, you get the first message. If you touch the A, you get the second message, and if you touch the U, you get the third message. It's just encoded in the flash of the device when it was pre-programmed. And if you want to switch modes, so it does have a couple different modes. If you want to switch to the capacitive, so we're in the POV mode right now. If you want to switch to capacitive touch demo, you start at the bottom and you slide your finger up, and you'll notice that it lights all the way up, indicating there's a change in modes. So now we're in the capacitive touch demo. So here, depending on where you are on the slider, it'll light up a different LED. So, by the way, there is an Easter egg, so if you are smart enough to find where that is, it's triggered in this mode. If you want to switch back to the persistence of vision mode, the POV mode, start at the top, slide down, and if it doesn't work, do it again. Alright, see, there we go, LED's lit. It's in the next mode, or maybe not. There we go. Alright, sorry, it took just a second to switch. I had my finger on something. Anyway, so we're back in POV mode. So the cool thing that I really like about this board is I've actually set up the light sensors so that they're able to actually program a new message onto the device. And I'm actually going to pull up, I probably should have pulled it up before, I'm going to pull up the programming page for this. So to switch into programming mode, simple, you start at the top, slide your way down. Oops. Same thing as before, if it fails, it'll gripe at you. There we go. Alright, so slide all the way down. You get LEDs on for a second. You have about 10 seconds to start the programming modes, and in a second it's going to switch back to POV mode. You saw it switch back, so I'll show you in a minute what it looks like. This is actually the application that I've built. It's just a very simple web application, and that's a lot of reflection. But anyway, you can add extra lines. Just a nice little app, and this will actually be on the page. It's actually on 430.com/badge. You'll find a link to the programming page for that. And basically what you can do is you can add extra lines, you can remove them if you decide you don't like something. You can make the message pretty long. I believe it takes about 1,000 lines is the maximum amount. And you click the different LED positions to light up different LEDs, and you can code in a message. So if you wanted to code in a message, you just click the LEDs that you want lit, and then once you're ready to go, you switch your device into programming mode. Again, like I mentioned, start at the top, slide your way down. You should get LEDs indicating it's a start. What you want to do is you put your device against it and hit transmit. And if you run into any problems during the transmission, sometimes it fails. You got to make sure that the brightness is all the way up on your device. So mine just failed a second ago and switched back into POV mode because my brightness wasn't up high enough on my monitor. This will work on mobile phones. I've been able to get this working on my my Android phone. pretty much any JavaScript enabled browser will allow you to do this. So once again, aside from the top to the bottom, export switches into programming mode, and retransmit here. Yep, seeing that aired out again. Sorry, it's probably the lights from above. It's actually best if you kind of keep it out of the light until you put it up against the monitor. And again, you can hit stop to make it stop programming, so you can restart it. But anyway, go through the programming sequence. Let's see if I can actually get a good hit. Nope. All right. Anyway, of course, it's not working when I'm doing the demo, but it's pretty simple. Done it hundreds of times. Works great. And you can program on new messages. So if you have something you'd like to put on there, feel free to set up a new message. And hopefully in the future we'll have the ability to put in characters rather than clicking the individual dots to do certain letters, and maybe have some encoded ones. I mentioned you have 3 messages available that you can program onto the board. So message index 1 corresponds with touching L, 2 and 3. So if you like one of the built-in messages, or you want to be able to encode 3 of your own, you just switch the message index, and when it programs it, it'll know where to put that. And don't worry about an accidental programming fail. If it fails over, it keeps the message that was last stored. It kind of stores it in temporary until it's ready to finalize that in permanent memory. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy the badge. These are right now probably going to be giving some away in the forums. Also, if you are going to Maker Faire and Texas Instruments is going to be there, stop by their booth and they may have some of these to give away. Say hi to Gerard from 430, and see you guys soon.